Well, good morning, everyone. Thomas Montgomery. We get together with our distribution partners and now even our clients most weekday mornings at 8 o'clock Central. Today is Thursday, October 5th, 2023. So pleasure to get together with you. We're going to go back today and revisit the client placement program. It's a resource that's available. It's up to you if you want to plug into it or not, but it's important that you understand what it is, why we offer it, and how you would benefit. Because once you have that knowledge, then you can make an educated decision to participate or not participate. So we're going to start with a concept that actually has a couple applications in what you and I do together. And we're talking about the buy versus build decision. So these are decisions that we make with so many different things in life. You know, at a consumer level, do we want to have a garden and grow our own vegetables, or do we just want to go down to the grocery store and buy them? And that may sound ridiculous, but I mean, that is a decision that we make, right? In the business world, one of the, I think, most overlooked buy versus build decisions that I see is bullet point number 1. And I even thought about having a whole separate topic on this. Did you know, and you probably did, but I don't know that maybe you've thought about it enough. There are many, many, many businesses for sale right now. You can go out and buy a business rather than starting a business. And I'm not trying to persuade you to do that, but from a client's perspective, let's say that you're working on your market outreach. I think that you owe it to your prospects and to the community when you're educating about these concepts that you and I do, that we can help them buy existing businesses that are established, that are profitable, that have employees, that have phone numbers, that have websites, that are turnkey ready to go. You know, recently we told you that we recently have started the process of acquiring a business ourselves to use for our collection purposes. So it makes sense to sometimes, instead of building from scratch, go buy an existing business, plug and play. So that is one example of a buy or build decision. More relevant to our topic today is when it comes to lead generation. You, as the CEO of your branch, you have the option to either build your sales funnel or just buy it. Just buy it. Now, what does that mean? There's a couple different ways that you could buy your sales funnel. In a looser sense, it goes back to the affiliate concept that we've talked about on several trainings recently. We believe that each of you, each branch office, should be building an affiliate team that goes out and generates clients for you. Well, you could argue that's one way of buying clients. So instead of going and generating clients yourself, you're paying someone else to do that for you. One specific ready-to-go method of buying clients is, in fact, the client placement program. And several of you have participated in that recently, and we're getting great feedback. So that's really our topic today. The client placement program, simply put, is us transferring the agreement of a signed client in credit and funding from us to you. So now that client is yours. It's not ours. Now they owe you money. They don't owe us money. And we can go through the text of the page here. But what does that mean? You don't have to worry about developing clients. You don't have to worry about being compliant. You literally can have as many clients as you want to work with. And economically, you know, each of those clients is worth at least $10,000 to your branch. Now, hopefully, those clients will participate and have a successful capital raise. They'll raise at least $100,000, and from that, they'll pay you a 10% performance fee. That's ideal. That's the norm. But even if they don't comply they don't participate, they still owe your branch $10,000. So am I here to persuade you to participate in the client placement program? No, not at all. But I do need to create top of mind awareness that it's available. So reading back from the slide here, the client placement program, CPP for short, was developed to assist branches who want to work with clients but want to outsource the client development process to our sales infrastructure. We are providing you literally contracted clients to work with. So some of you don't need this. Some of you have momentum, you're generating clients, and it's working fine for you. And that's really what our model was built to do. But there are some of you that are not hitting your numbers. You're not compliant. Because let's go back and revisit the agreement that we made with each other. And if you're not familiar with this, it'd be really good for you to go back and look at what's called your branch license agreement. So when you came aboard, other than a setup fee, we didn't charge you the license fee. There is a license fee, but we didn't charge you for it. And we even said, hey, we don't want you to pay the license fee. We don't want you to. Just come in and after a 30-day grace period, be productive, be active, which is defined as developing at least 2 clients a week. We set that threshold because we didn't want to attract dabblers. We want people that are actively involved. And that's good from an economic modeling perspective. But more importantly, it was designed that way because dabblers typically don't become proficient in what they do. So think about anything in life. If you do something rarely, you do something once in a while, you probably aren't, and maybe you're the exception, I apologize, but in general, you don't become an expert in what you do. You don't become proficient. We don't want dabblers as branches, and so that's why the branch license agreement is set up not to be punitive at all, because again, we're offering to waive or defer the branch license fee forever. We just want you to be active. What's my point here? And it's the highlighted yellow. If for whatever reason, regardless of the reason, but for whatever reason, you're not compliant, you're not generating at least 2 clients a week after that initial 30-day grace period, guess what? Here's the simple fix. You can become compliant immediately, start making money immediately, and start operating a live, vibrant branch. What we don't want is what's called a ghost branch. Now, that term is pulled from what's called ghost businesses. And you may see this with some of your clients. A ghost business means there's a business shell there, there's an entity, but it really doesn't do anything. It's not generating any profits. It's not providing any services, not selling any products, whatever it is. Well, we don't want ghost branches. That's a waste of your investment. It's a waste of our time and energy. So this client placement program is a resource for you if you care to participate. But most importantly, I guess, from a financial perspective, if you're not compliant, it's the easy way to get compliant. So if that doesn't make sense, let me know. You can post a comment or a question in the Q&A box of Zoom. It's kind of like a chat box. All right, so let's move forward. Now, this hasn't changed. So this is the same as when we rolled it out a couple weeks ago, but I did want to go back and revisit it just to make sure that you're aware of how this works. And it's important that you ask questions, that you seek clarification, because this is a good offering. You may or may not want to participate, but as a branch, you need to know that it exists. All right, and how it works. So what do you get through the CPP? You get a signed client that's under agreement. So is this a lead? No, it's not a lead. This person has already signed up. They've already contracted, and then we're assigning you that contract and all the financial benefits therefrom. So hopefully that's clear. If not, ask a question because we need to dig deeper. Now, I think pretty much everything in life has pros and cons, right? Pretty much nothing's perfect. So when you get a client, if you want one or more, through the CPP, it's real client, signed contract, but the contract is what we would call our in-house terms because it's an in-house client, right? We didn't go out marketing under your branch, marketing under your branding, marketing under your terms. That did not happen. It's under our model. So what has the client promised to pay you, the branch that's getting a CPP? They've promised to pay you $999.99, and they've promised to pay you a 10% performance fee paid after the capital raise, but also they've promised if they don't participate to pay you that 10% performance fee, $10,000, if they don't participate. So you're promised, you're guaranteed in writing at least $10,000 from each of these clients. Now you can also generate extra income, which we'll talk about in a moment. So what do? We transfer that client to you, and thus it's your branch client going forward. To me, it's pretty simple, but if it doesn't make sense to you, now is a great time to ask the questions. Now, many of you have asked, well, what about if the client needs other assistance? How does that revenue work? Well, it's the same. So now it's your client. So if that client would benefit from the startup program, which is not the subject for today, you still make the same profit. What if the client needs collateral? You still make the same profit. So you're getting all the normal benefits that you would get from what we would say an organic client. However, there is an acquisition cost because our team has gone out and developed a client for you, which we'll go through very transparently. But hopefully you understand what you get. You get a client under these terms that's ready to work with you. They've just signed up. So what are you going to do? Well, you're going to do the normal things, right? It's a client now. You're going to take them through the 3 phases, which we've talked about, we've discussed, we've trained on. It's just a normal client. It's just we developed them for you, and we've transferred the agreement to you. Now, is it free? No, it's not free. There was some confusion. I had a heated discussion in a friendly way with one of our branches yesterday. He thought this was free, and no, it's not free. He confused the discussion we had yesterday, which is the promotion that if you want to pay your branch license fee up front, not the setup fee, but the branch license fee up front, then yes, then the CPP is free to you. So that's a fact. But that's what I had to educate him on is there's such things as conditional offers. So let's say that you go to Olive Garden and they have a free dessert. You buy an entree and then the tiramisu is free. It's a conditional offer. In other words, yeah, the tiramisu is free, but you have to buy an entree. So can you just go in and say, I want my free tiramisu? No, it's a conditional offer. Buy an entree, pay for an entree, get the dessert free. So what we attempted to explain to everyone yesterday is if you want to pay your branch license fee up front, you're welcome to do so. And if you do so, then the CPP is free for you. You see? So that wasn't meant to be misleading or confusing, but at least this one gentleman couldn't assimilate that. It's a conditional offer. So normally the CPP is not free. There's a cost for it because there's a cost for us to go do the work to bring the client to you, but it's optional, right? You don't have to do it. So what is the pricing model? Again, this hasn't changed, just going back to revisit it. So we're all on the same page. You tell us how many clients you want transferred to you. Take Peter. Let's see, is Peter on training this morning? Peter's not on training this morning, but regardless, Peter approached us yesterday and said he wanted 5 clients. So we invoiced Peter for 5 CPPs, and Peter paid. The wire came through this morning. So there's a fee for each client placed. With that, then now the client's yours. The client is yours. We've transferred ownership of that client agreement. All future revenue is payable to you from that client. It's now your client. So in Peter's example, he paid 5 times this. Now he's got 5 clients. He's going to collect $9.99 times 5. One from each of those clients. And the bottom line is this is less lucrative to your branch on the front end. It's the same on the back end, but it's less lucrative on the front end. You'll still generate a profit, but when you outsource something, there's typically a cost. So we split the performance fee normally. So for those 5 clients, Peter will still get half of the performance fee. We know that the performance fee for these are 10%. We know the client's guaranteed 100,000, so there's going to be at least 10,000 performance fee. So Peter's going to make 5,000 minimally off of each of those 5. So he's got 25,000 coming to him. And as I mentioned up here, you're not giving up. So in other words, you're not compromising anything on the performance fee. It's normal, but set at the 10%. And you're not giving up anything on any additional resources that the client might need, such as the startup program or the collateral support program. But you are compromising. You're making less on the front end than you would if you generated the client yourself. So with that being said, let me shrink this down and let's start fielding questions. It's so important that each of you understands how this works and its available resource. All right, so Denise has the first question, and it's a remarkably good question. It's a very applicable question. And it's probably no different than what you face in general. But what Denise's question is, okay, she signs up, she gets a CPP, a client transferred to her. She's paid her $250, client's transferred in her name, and now she needs to do what? Collect the $9.99 from the client, because that's what the client agreed to pay in writing. No surprises. Her question is, well, what if the client doesn't pay the $9.99? Well, that's shame on the client because they've agreed to do that. So if the client doesn't pay you the $9.99, then what that means, Denise, or any other branch, is that the client is now in breach. The client has breached their agreement with you. And there's an acceleration clause in the agreement, isn't there? And that acceleration clause says, well, client, you're not doing what you promised to do. So now what you're going to do in this case, Denise, is invoice the client for the $9.99, plus you're going to invoice them for the 10% performance fee, the $10,000. So the bill the client owes your branch now has gone from just simply the refundable setup fee. Now they owe your branch the refundable setup fee plus the $10,000. And so now you have more accounts receivable. Hopefully the client will pay. If not, of course, we can put them into collections. But it's an asset to you. I don't think that you'll run into that too often because the client has signed an agreement, but it's certainly possible. Same with you, right, Denise? You could sign a client up organically and maybe they flake out and they don't participate or they don't pay. They still owe you. You could then either place them into our outsourced revenue recovery, so we take care of the collections, or you could handle that. All right, so who else, thank you for Denise for that question. Who else has questions, comments, concerns on the client placement program? All right, so I'm going to bang my head against the desk here. Sylvia says, so it's a lead, not contracted yet. That's horribly wrong. That's a horrible misinterpretation of everything I've attempted to say, which is my fault, obviously, not yours. These are not leads. These are contracted clients, and that's what I've attempted to convey to you. So I'm sorry if I haven't done that. The client placement program is not leads. It's transferring contracted clients. Shame on me for not explaining that better. I owe you all an apology. All right, so then Adam asked, once we pay the license fee, you can have as many CPP as you want. Well, I mean, there's limits because it's not that we have an infinite number. So that's a great point, Adam. I don't want anyone to think, okay, go ahead and pay your license fee, and now you can get 1 billion client placement programs. So that's a great point. No, we're not saying that you can get an infinite number. We're just saying for the client placement programs, you would not be charged. All right, so Sylvia's bouncing back. She's saying that if she has to collect from the client, it's a lead. That's a horrible misunderstanding of contractual law. And again, yet again, my fault. I need to teach you contractual law better than what I have. So no, if a client has signed a contract, it's a legally enforceable contract. The client is a client. It's not a lead. A lead is someone who is not signed yet. The trigger for becoming a client is not if they've paid, it's if they have signed. Once a client signs a contract, even if they've not paid, they're legally bound to the terms and conditions therein. Our agreements are written whereby once they've signed the contract, they are responsible for the refundable setup fee. And if they don't perform, they don't participate, they have an acceleration clause for the performance fee as well. So maybe I should set up, well, when you come to our in-person class, Sylvia, and anyone else, we're doing the in-person trainings now for branches, which are free. We talked about that earlier this week. We cover some basics of contractual law. So I think that'll help fill in some gaps. But yeah, if you think just because someone has not paid that they're a lead, that's wrong. They move from lead to client when they've signed the contract. All right. Late fees. Yeah. So the Denise is asking about late fees. Certainly. So the standard agreement, we're using the same terms and conditions that you use. We provide you the template of, and you can see what the client has agreed to by going to the credit and funding page, and it's linked. They're agreeing to the terms and conditions. So yes, you can charge late fees of $50 a day. That is embedded into the terms and conditions that they've agreed to. So that's exactly right, Denise. So that amount grows every day that they don't pay. Great point. And that may be the motivation to get them to pay. And you keep all those late fees. It's $50 a day, but that's purely your profit. We don't split those. All right, so let's see. Ken says, can you send an editable, don't know what that word means, for the installment startup fee, for example, $1,800 now to the $1,000 agreement? Okay, what I think maybe what Ken's trying to communicate is if the client through the CPP wants to do the $250 down, they would pay you, the branch, $250 down. And then, yes, we could finance the balance of the refundable setup fee at 0% interest. And that would be paid $250 a month, the first of each month. So yes, we have a different financing agreement, obviously, for clients that are financing the difference between a $999 setup fee and their down payment, which is obviously $750, versus when it's $2,000. So yes, there's a different link, a different electronic signature financing agreement for that. So if you need that, if you have a client that you ran through the CPP and wants to finance the balance, let us know and we can provide you that link for those, for that payment term, which is still 0%, still $250 a month, still due the first of each month, but it's only $750 versus $1,750. Absolutely. All right. Well, I think we've covered all the questions. Anyone else have any questions about what the CPP is, how it works, why we offer it? So it's elective. It's a resource for you. But maybe the most important reason that you should pay attention to this is if you're not in compliance. If you're not in compliance, which means you're not generating at least 2 clients a week after that initial 30-day grace period, you have a decision to make. And that decision is to either pay, oh, didn't mean to do that. Edit mode, sorry. Your decision is to either pay the full branch license fee, or plug into the CPP and we can supplement your shortfall, which makes you money, right? So paying the branch license fee, it's not a bad deal. It's the equivalent of what the revenue off of one typical client. But rather than doing that, why not just participate in the CPP, get 2 clients, and be compliant and making money? So again, we hold this license agreement seriously, right? So we need to do those things that we promised to do for you, and we would expect you also to do those things that you promised to do. And so if you're not active, you're not meeting this criteria, then you need to fix it. Now, we talked about the affiliate model and developing a sales funnel organically. So this isn't meant to be an exclusive resource. This could almost be your insurance if you wanted. You do whatever you're doing. Hopefully you're developing an affiliate channel. You're doing the other things we've talked about, going out and teaching financial literacy in person or online. Whatever your business development model is for your branch, go do that first. But if you see that you're getting to Thursday or Friday, like now, and you're short for the week, this is a great insurance policy. Just go ahead and get 2 CPPs, you're compliant, and then keep doing what you're doing to make tweaks. But we just don't be surprised that you should hold us accountable to do what we promised to do. And in a good business relationship, we're going to ask you to do what you promised to do. And so that would be active, 2 clients a week. All right, and any request, if you don't mind, if you can email those, Denise or others. It's very difficult for me to field a bunch of individual requests through the Zoom, but anything that you specifically need, just email us and we're happy to assist you. As we talked about before, each of our branches, we should be having weekly one-on-one meetings. You schedule that using Calendly. That way that we can talk about clients, make sure the clients are satisfied, make sure the clients are getting funded, make sure you know what you need to know. Now, if you need help on the fly, that's fine. One of the reasons we get together daily at this time is to field more general questions, but you can also obviously call or text if you need immediate attention. All right, well, hopefully this was helpful in revisiting the role of the CPP and how it's essentially your insurance policy. You should never be out of compliance with your branch license agreement in terms of production when you always have access to contracted clients. Should never be an issue. All right, well, thanks everyone. Have a great day. We'll see you back tomorrow morning. Bye-bye.